All right, good evening, everybody. Doing this one a little bit late. Had a couple hiccups in the forecast just throughout the day today. Hope you had a good Tuesday. Got some rain if you wanted it. We have another wet afternoon on the way, but then rain chances will decrease. And if you've lived down here for any amount of time, rain chances go down, temperatures go up, especially in August. Some of our historic heat waves have come here. We won't have any of that, but it is going to be warmer as we move forward. Here's the composite radar here at 8 o'clock. Showers winding down for the most part. Still some thunderstorms over the Appalachians. Here's a look at the loop, and we have a leftover thunderstorms that have really bottomed out. Stratiform rain over in Talladega County, stretching up towards I-20 and Anniston. We'll take a closer look at that. Most of this beginning to fizzle, and I expect that to be the end of the rain for us here this evening. So, Wednesday, rain chances will be highest along and south of US 84. That would include Andalusia, Opp, Luverne, Brantley, Troy, Enterprise, Daleville, even over in Slocum. And we will see a gradual decrease in rain chances as you head north across the state. But again, we have the potential to see rain anywhere. By Thursday, notice the lighter colors. Again, the highest rain probability, best coverage would be from Covington County over to Houston County, including basically the whole Wiregrass, and then to a lesser extent, the northern half of the state. And by Friday, we're probably dry across the shoals, and outside of an isolated thunderstorm, central Alabama along and north of I-20 looks pretty dry, so we're trending drier. Let's go to our future view. This is the Barron In-House 3K. We'll start this Wednesday morning. And again, we still have this inverted trough here in place, so plenty of moisture, and once these get going, should see pretty decent coverage tomorrow afternoon. Again, the ingredients are there. The placement will be what we'll have to figure out moving forward. But that's at 3 o'clock, and again, the eastern half of the state looks pretty solid as far as coverage goes, but this is not the answer key by any means. And as we head into the evening, some of these thunderstorms may last past sunset, and that's been the case at times this summer. Of course, we know there's plenty of heat energy. As we look ahead to Thursday, again, you're going to see thunderstorms pop up on the map, primarily southern Alabama, but you'll see those isolated thunderstorms all the way up towards Huntsville. And again, this one's a bit more aggressive as far as the rain coverage. I do not think we will see an MCS like that is suggesting. This is typically a more aggressive model. But just wanted to show that for the rain coverage here. In general, our rain probabilities for the afternoon, if you work outside for a living, start to go down here beyond Wednesday. And that means our temperatures go up. So let's go to Friday. And this is the GFS look at temperatures. So this is going to run a little bit hot. So take these numbers and subtract a couple degrees here. Friday at 3 o'clock, we're probably closer to 92 in Birmingham. 88 in Huntsville is fair. 95 in Dothan is fair. But the highest heat levels are going to stay to the west. You look at Little Rock, Shreveport, Dallas, OKC, Tulsa. That's where we're going to be flirting with the upper 90s near 100. Saturday, again, looking at temperatures in the low to middle 90s here in central Alabama, mid 90s in southern Alabama. And then we move into Sunday, and we're right on the periphery of the highest heat levels. Again, that's going to be over near the Mississippi Delta into the Ark-La-Tex region. But we should be 90 to 94 easily across the state into the weekend, with perhaps a few 80s over the extreme northern part of Alabama. It's been a cool start thus far to the month. In some cases, it's within the top 20 coolest starts to August. I expect that to change here over the next week or so. Pattern-wise, though, through the end of August, if we look extended, so this would be beyond next week, 8 to 14 days out, ending period August 26th, very close to average across much of the nation's heartland and the southeast, with only slightly low confidence above for the southern half of Alabama, so I don't expect any crazy anomalies with that. All right, it is August, so tropical season tends to pick up just a little bit here. We've introduced a new 20% potential down near the Bay of Campeche. This for a little cluster weak low that is actually currently to the east of the Yucatan Peninsula in the southern extreme southwestern Caribbean. This will drift over the Yucatan and may form into a tropical low. Based on the setup and location of it, I don't expect this to amount to anything with respect to tropical development, and I don't see any threat for the Gulf of Mexico, but just wanted to touch on that. All right, big picture here. You can actually see that depicted. There's that little cluster, that low that's, again, north of Honduras into the east of Mexico. That'll move over the Yucatan. But the rest of the Atlantic, you can see where the Bermuda High is. Very quiet there in the middle of the Atlantic. And then, of course, got Aaron out here, Tropical Storm Erin, has done absolutely nothing in terms of intensification over the last 24 hours. Still sustained winds of 45 miles an hour, and that central pressure, 1,006. That's low, but not particularly strong. It is cruising along though, west of 22, so it is on its way. Speaking of, where is it headed? I'm gonna grab the spaghetti plots, and I wanted to put our mid-level winds. So when we look at our wind profiles, we look at different levels for different things. Obviously, surface winds, we want to know what direction our winds are, throughout the day. When you get to the mid-levels, though, that's your steering winds. So these are several thousand feet off the ground, and these are responsible for directing features like this. So this is going to help to steer or to determine the direction of Erin. So I plotted where we've got a relative high, and you can also see the wind flow around there. So notice, around the high, we have that clockwise motion. This is likely going to take Erin and sling it away from the coast. Now, if this high pressure was, say, right over Bermuda, that would force the track of Erin closer to the U.S. and likely into the Carolinas. But it's regressed to the central Atlantic, and Erin is likely going to get caught up in that circulation, and that's going to help accelerate it off to the north as well. It looks like, at least here in the long term. Still plenty of time to go here before then. So this is the NHC forecast cone. Again, they update this on a day-to-day basis, and you're going to see probably the strongest life cycle of this storm, eventual hurricane, some point next week. I think it might be beyond Sunday, but they've got this prog as a major hurricane by Sunday, Category 2 north of the Leeward Islands by Saturday afternoon. So let's go to our modeling data, try to get kind of pinpoint this better. I'll start this at noon, and we're looking at the sea level pressures here. And what this is going to show is, colors based off of high versus low. You're seeing relatively high pressure values in the blue. The brighter, more concentrated the red, that is a lower pressure center. So when you start to see the deeper reds, that's intensification. So that's 983 millibar low. That's decent, Category 1 or 2 potential there. Again, the surface load is not necessarily indicative of our winds, which is how hurricanes are rated. But when you start to see a pressure fall like that, or a pressure drop, that's a pretty good sign of intensification. Plotted the Bahamas, Leeward Islands there. Again, expected to stay away from those. This is now Tuesday at 1 o'clock. 946, that's a strong hurricane. That's a major hurricane. In my opinion, this could easily get to, a Category 4. Spitballing here, the intensity, you don't know. The point I want to make with this is St. George, that's Bermuda. This is going to be, if it's going to affect any land, it's going to be Bermuda. And you'll see how quickly this accelerates. From Tuesday to Wednesday, a 24-hour period, it not only intensifies, but it slings off to the north very quickly. There's going to be probably a tremendous amount of storm surge out ahead of this towards Bermuda, so that'll be something to watch here. And this may be the strongest point. It's moving over very warm surface temperatures, sea surface temperatures there as the Gulf Stream kind of bottoms out. So Bermuda, well, that'll be a place to watch. And look how quickly here, over the next 24 hours, that thing several hundred miles to the north off the Nova Scotian coastline, Canadian Maritimes, and this will be a extratropical or post-tropical low as it moves off into the North Atlantic, gradually fizzling. So that was the European product. We'll do the same thing with the GFS. And again, you're going to see the same thing, the intensification over time as it moves further to the west. This particular run of the GFS actually has it much further to the east than previous runs. In fact, going to the other side of Bermuda, it also has it a little bit weaker. That's not been the trend of the GFS. It's been pushing a more intense hurricane, a lower surface pressure. But again, these fluctuate from run to run. I think it'll still be Category 3, perhaps a 4. And the question is going to be what side of Bermuda, where does it head with that track? Wednesday, this has it depicted much further to the north and a more accelerated timeline of it moving out to the Atlantic, but the same idea. This goes off to the north, missing the Canadian Maritimes. So we'll keep watching it. No impact to the U.S. expected at this point. Just look at the sea surface temperatures as of right now, and you see those 85-degree readings there. That's a very warm sea surface temperature, not crazy out of the ordinary. It's pretty normal for this time of year. You see the Gulf is also warm, some spots in the upper 80s there. But you usually look at a threshold 82 and higher is pretty good for intensification. You start getting closer to 85, and remember where we saw that intensification in that same region where those plots are 84, 85 degrees. So that will likely play a role, and something to watch here. Again, study these hurricanes from a distance, stays away from land. meteorologist's dream. We get to study these things, and it doesn't have an impact to people, or at least that's what we hope. So one final check of the composite radar. Again, it's about 8:12, 8:15-ish. So that'll pretty much wrap up our discussion here for this evening. Again, a little bit late here today, but info's still good. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful evening, start to your Wednesday, and we will see you tomorrow for another update.